Hello and welcome to the Healed with Alyssa podcast. I am so excited for you guys to learn more information from me. This podcast is going to be all about helping heal your child and your family naturally without drugs or surgery. So let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited to chat with you today. We are going to talk about parasites in children. If you have followed me for a long time, you know that I love talking about parasites and how they affect the body. So let's just talk about, everyone always wants to know, my doctor says that parasites are not a thing here. We live in a first world country. How can we be getting parasites? So let me talk a little bit about how we get parasites because they definitely affect our health. They affect our children's health. So let's get into it. The first place that you get parasites are definitely from pregnancy, from your mom. You can definitely be passed parasites in pregnancy, in utero. So I have patients that are weeks old that are dealing with parasites as an issue. Also, another way you can get parasites is from breastfeeding. Parasites can be really microscopic, that they can go through the breast milk. My son, if you know anything about my story, my son was very, very ill as an infant. He was also vaccine injured, and I was passing parasites to him through my breast milk. So it was really hard for him to heal because he was always being exposed to parasites all the time. And it's not to say that breastfeeding is not good for babies, because breastfeeding is going to be the best. It's going to be way better than formula. But that's why it's important that you detox the body before you get pregnant, right? Because it's really hard to detox after you are, already pregnant and you're breastfeeding. We don't generally recommend detoxing at that time. So that's why I emphasize so much, if you are planning to get pregnant in the next year or two, it's really important to detox your body, because that whole toxic load will go to your baby. In addition to whatever else toxins they're accumulating from, the air they're breathing and, whatever, if they're food they're eating, things like that. So those are two ways that you can get parasites. Another way you can get parasites is from pets, right? Dogs, cats are like the main pets that we have here. But some people have pigs, some people have horses, some people have cows. So that is another way that you can get parasites, is from your animals. Okay, dogs take heartworm medication on a regular basis. So heartworms are parasites in the heart. So our dogs are parasite cleansing, but for some reason we are above parasite cleansing. I'm not really sure why. So pets is another way. If little babies or, playing with their dogs a lot, they're on the floor, the pet is constantly licking their face, things like that, is a big source of parasites for kids and for anyone, to be honest. And so pets is another one. Another one is going to be from water. I, not too long ago, did a live on Facebook and Instagram, and I tested different waters with muscle testing, and I found some tap waters had parasites in them in New Jersey. So I live in New Jersey. I live in the Jersey Shore, and they were parasites in my water, tap water. Okay, so you don't have to go to a third world country to get parasites, and we are not above third world countries because our food is just as toxic. Next place you can get parasites is from food, right? You can get it from vegetables. Vegetables grow in the ground. There's worms in the ground, so you can get it from vegetables. You can get it from meat, like undercooked meats is another big place that you can get parasites. You can also get parasites from fish. Sushi is a big one. If you eat raw fish, you are eating loads and loads of parasites. I don't see so much like little kids eating sushi, but maybe they do. But definitely the older kids, the kids who are, in high school, teenagers, they might think it's cool to eat sushi. Sushi is loaded with parasites. So, yeah, those are some common ways that you can get parasites. Also, if you have traveled out of the country to Mexico or the Caribbean, Africa, Indonesia, any of those type of countries, you can get parasites from there for sure. And they say to Mexico, don't drink the water because you get sick, and usually you get some kind of bug, and it is parasites. So now that we talked about how you get them, those are probably the common ways you can get them. Let's talk about how we test for them, because they're very hard to test for. So most doctors, when you go to them, if you were like, oh, I want to test for parasites, they'll be like, okay, we'll do a stool test. So stool test will test, they'll do something called ova and parasites, and they send a little bit of your stool to a lab and they will test it. This is very inaccurate. This does not come up with parasites. You need to be like pooping tons and tons of parasites for it to actually show up on this testing. The people who I had show up with this way, maybe they just went to Mexico, they had a severe GI distress, diarrhea, all the things. So generally it does not show up. So why is that? Is because parasites are not in your stool. Parasites are hiding in your organs. They're in your lungs, right? They're in your liver. They're in your skin. They're in your sinuses. They're in your ovaries. They're in your uterus. They're in your organs. They're in your kidneys. They are not in your stool. So this is why they're not coming up on these testings. So you're going to say, well, if we can't test for them, then how do we know we have them? So if you have a pulse, you have a parasite. So this is a saying by one of the the founders of Cellcore, which if you follow me, you know I love Cellcore. Their products are beyond amazing and the best on the market that I have found to help people really heal and address the underlying causes of what's going on with their health issues. So this is why everyone needs the parasite cleanse, because if you have a pulse, which if you're living, you have a parasite. So yes, we don't, there's not really a good test to show if there are parasites. One testing that can be a little bit accurate is if you do a CBC, which is a complete blood count, and then you go and you look at the eosinophils part, and anything greater than like 3 or greater would be a very good indication for parasite overgrowth, parasite activity, things like that. So that is another way you can kind of have an idea, but that's not a definitive way to find out. And then another way you can find this is through muscle testing. So that's what we do at our practice. We do muscle testing, and this is the most accurate way to address which parasite you have, right? Because there's a million different types, and they morph. Because of the GMOs that they are putting on our food, the parasites are morphing, and they are becoming harder and harder to get rid of, right? Because they are more aggressive. So this is why, people used to take something called wormwood, and that was used to be the best herb for parasites. But nowadays, wormwood is not effective enough to get rid of these parasites in the body. Okay, so now that we talked about the different ways that we test for them, and also through muscle testing, we also can see where they are, right? What organs are they in? Are they in the liver? Are they in the brain? Are they in the heart? Are they in the lungs? So we can absolutely find out where they are and how strong that parasite is. So, sometimes it's not really that strong. Maybe it's more of a toxin that we need to work on. So that's what the beauty of muscle testing is that we can address what is going on in the body and exactly where it is and how much it's present in the body. So there's no guessing when it comes to muscle testing. It's there or it isn't. And people want to know, like, how does that work? Muscle testing is based off of quantum physics. So it's about energy and frequency. And we can do this testing virtually. So we have patients all over the country that we help to address the root cause of what's going on in their health. And we also do this in person. So if you are local to the Jersey Shore, come out to the office and come meet me. And I would love to help you address the underlying cause of your or your child's health issues. Okay, so now I want to talk about some symptoms associated with parasites. Okay, because there's a lot. So I'm not going to go through all of them. Maybe I'll think of more as we go along. These are some common ones I see in kids specifically. It may pertain to adults as well, but I work with a lot of kids, and so these are the common ones I see. Okay, so bloated belly, right? I hear all the time, like, oh, it's just normal toddler belly bloat. No, that is not normal. That is common, but it's not normal. That is a sign of parasites, right? Constipation. I find most people that have constipation are loaded with parasites. So constipation is another common thing that we see in our practice with kids, toddlers, even infants struggle with constipation. And when I say constipation, I mean they're not having a bowel movement, pooping every single day. So everyone should be pooping every single day. Also diarrhea. Right, so a lot of kids struggle with more looser bowels. So it's another sign of parasites. Also, blood in the stool. So my son had horrible blood in his stool, especially if he had dairy or other inflammatory foods. He had blood in his stool. So this is a common thing for parasites. Common cause of parasite. Common symptom of parasites. Next would be a dairy sensitivity, right? So if your child eats dairy and then they right away are going to the bathroom, right? They're having a bowel movement. This is another common symptom of parasites. I always find that people who have dairy issues, it's always related to parasites. Next, I would say is picky eating. So if you have a picky eater, a lot of times parasites can be at play with people who have picky eating. Children, I see a lot of toddlers with picky eating. Also, seasonal allergies. So, when the season's changing, they have a lot of runny nose, congestion. These type of symptoms are common causes of parasites. Next would be someone who is always sick. So if your child is sick every other week, they get better and then they start again with a running nose. This is a common symptom of parasites. They say, oh, that's normal, but that is not normal. It is common. I say this all the time, right? That's common, but it's not normal. Next would be angry, right? If your child's like always angry, in a bad mood, like very moody, has like a lot of tantrums, this is another sign of parasites. And I always say this to my patients is that your child does not want to be that way. That's just because of the toxic load in their body. So when we bring the toxic load in the body down, these symptoms go away, right? That's not normal. It's not, they say like, oh, terrible twos. Like terrible twos is not normal. That's just like a common thing that we hear. But there is an underlying cause. Is it because of all the toxins that they're being exposed to through injections? And 2 years old, they're getting a ton of those. Or is it just, the parasites in their body, they're becoming so overgrown because they're eating so much candy and cookies, cakes, sugars, things like that. The next symptom kind of goes along with that would be they crave sugar. They always want to eat so many carbs. They want breads and bagels and pizzas and cakes and cookies, even fruit, right? If your child like wants fruit all day long, like that is a common symptom of parasites. They just crave sugar. They don't care if it's natural or, artificial sugar. They just want sugar. And why is that? Is because sugar feeds the parasites. So that's why that is. Next is eczema. Okay, so eczema is another one, a common thing that we see at our practice. People come in for skin rashes and eczema, and we find a lot of people have parasites, and this is what's causing that. Also, foods can make it worse, but the underlying cause generally is parasites for eczema. Hives, right? So when I see a lot of people, adults and kids, they come in and they have, like, it's called idiopathic hives. They just get hives. It's not that they're allergic to anything. They just randomly get hives, and they don't know what it's from, and the doctors don't know what it's from, and they're told to just take a ton of Benadryl or an antihistamine like Claritin, something like that, to help with their immune. So that's an immune response. So we need to get the immune system decreased from these toxins, and parasites are a huge cause of hives in the body. Next would be food sensitivities. Right? So if your child has a ton of food sensitivities, like my child did as an infant, his biggest issue was parasites. His parasites were basically eating him alive. It was horrible, literally horrible. I hope no one has to go through that ever like I did. And that's why I educate everyone so that no one does have to go through that horrible time. Also, nausea and like really bad stomach aches all the time. That is another common thing relating to parasites. Next, I'm going to go through just a few things, and then we'll get into how we handle them. So menstrual cramps is another big issue with parasites. I personally had horrible, horrible menstrual cramps. When I was younger, I would have to take naproxen every single day. I would be laid up in bed. I couldn't get out of bed because the cramps were so bad. And we generally find parasites are a big cause of menstrual cramps. Also, if you have really bad heavy cycles, right? Heavy menstrual cycles, parasites are another really big cause of this. Parasites can cause so many hormone imbalances. They can cause trouble with weight gain. Right. So some people have trouble gaining weight. So that can actually be a thing too. Like if your kid is failure to thrive, having a lot of trouble gaining weight. And I see this a lot in the infant population. And the doctor's only answer is that feed them more fat, or, if you're breastfeeding, stop breastfeeding, giving them formula. Like that's not the answer. The answer is finding the underlying toxin, the underlying cause of that. And parasites is a big cause for trouble with gaining weight. So there's some people who can eat tons and tons of calories, but they never gain weight. And that's not normal. Okay. And then also they can be responsible for trouble losing weight. If all of a sudden you gain a ton of weight and you're not sure why, parasites can be at play for that as well. And parasites can cause so many more symptoms. I can go on all day to talk about parasites because they have really, really opened my eyes to what they do and what they cause in our body. It's really unbelievable how much they can cause, not really in kids, but they can cause infertility issues. I've seen so many women get pregnant naturally after trying for years and years. And just by, detoxing those parasites out, they are, getting pregnant naturally. Okay, so I want to talk about my favorite parasite cleanse. Super, super gentle. People get really scared when you talk about parasite cleansing. They talk about like Herxheimer's reaction, which would be like a negative reaction. So this is really gentle. It's not going to cause like that kind of Herxheimer's reaction. So let me just talk about it. This is the parasite cleanse we have on our supplement store. It's called the Kids Parasite Cleanse. Great name. So it's 3 different products. So the first product is called Detoxisode Parasites. So this is, it says indications for use for relief of abdominal flatulence, bowel pain, and to assist the body's um, natural efforts to return to homeostasis. So this is homeopathy. It's so gentle. A lot of people are nervous because homeopathy has a little bit of alcohol in it. So these are water based, so they have no taste, right? This is, you can mix it. It's water. Like water, you can mix it in something and your child's not going to taste it. People don't have any issues with their child taking this. And when you purchase it, it comes with a dosing sheet based off of age. So if your child is a certain age, for ages 1 plus, so you'll have a generalized dosing sheet for it when you order it. And so this has some different supplements in here that help to get rid of parasites. Then there's this other one, it's called nematodes. So these two supplements help to address different types of parasites because there are many and many cause different symptoms. So this one is called nematodes. This one is for relief of constipation, itching of anus, right? Also, anal itching is another common cause of, common symptom of parasites, and that I see a lot with kids. And this helps to return the body to a state of homeostasis. So this is the same. This works together. This is amazing. I use these products for kids all the time. It is so gentle. Next product is called CXLB. So this is a really amazing product for the liver and the gallbladder. So a lot of these symptoms that I talked about, right? The bloated belly, the constipation, the eczema, the hives, the diarrhea, the menstrual cramps, the picky eating. A lot of this is related to liver and gallbladder not functioning properly. So these drops help to open up the liver and the gallbladder, help you to move your bowels more effectively. So these are the 3 products that go with the Parasite Cleanse, and it is awesome. People have had such amazing results. I get messages all the time on how it's been helped with their child's eczema, their moodiness, their constipation, their bloated belly. It is just amazing. I love to hear all of your amazing stories and your wins with using these products. So, when you first start doing parasite cleanses, we don't, if you're not one of our patients, we don't know how much of parasites are affecting your health. So we usually start with something called a full moon cleanse. So that is a parasite cleanse you do around the full moon. And generally, most people start with doing it 3 days. So you do it the day before the full moon, the day of the full moon, and the day after. Some people notice that their child feels amazing and they're not complaining, and their sickness has gone away, so they will continue it longer. And if you do, that's fine. It's not going to hurt them to continue it longer. This is literally food, so it's not like a medication that's going to hurt you if you take it for a long time. It's literally food. So yeah, that's when most people start doing it, around the full moon, and you can do it 3 days, and then you can increase it. You can do it for 5 days, so 2 days before the full moon, the day of, and then 2 days after the full moon. And then you can continue going if you feel like it's really helping. So that is a really great parasite cleanse for kids. For adults, we have the Cell Core Para Kit. So that is really great. I will link all of these in the show notes so you can check them out. And if you ever have any questions about this, you can always send me a DM on Instagram and I can answer any of your questions. So what most people ask question-wise is, if I purchase this kit, how long is this going to last? So if you're doing the once a month full moon cleanses, this will last you a few months, probably, like, depending on how many people are doing it, this will last probably at least 6 months. And then the other question I got asked is, is my child going to be able to go to school doing this? Are they going to just be in the bathroom, like, with a stomach ache all the time? No, this is not that type of cleanse. You're not just going to be having, like, diarrhea the whole time. This is not that kind of cleanse. So, absolutely they can go to school. Most of them, for the most part, most people feel better when they're doing this because parasites are such a huge cause of their health issues. So that is another common thing that people ask. with this. And then they also ask, can adults do this cleanse too? So adults can absolutely do this liquid cleanse. It's very gentle. For adults, we really do like the Cell Core Pair Kit, but absolutely if you were like, oh, I want to try it before I give it to my kids, definitely adults can do that as well. So I think that's all for today. And I will be back next week to talk about something else. And, if you guys have any topics you want me to talk about, please send me a message on Instagram. And I would love to, get any recommendations and get some topics that you guys love to hear about. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you on the next episode. Have a great rest of your day. If this podcast episode resonated with you, please share it with another mother or another family who's going through similar issues. And if you could please leave us a review and a rating, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.